So the question was, well, who I work for, and if we, the winery, the organizers, sort of put ourselves out there as the brand that organized it, and we really tried to not be overtly the captain of the ship. We made Cabernet front and center, which was the second question. Sure.
You shared email addresses with all of those people?
We shared email addresses with anyone who asked for them, which was no one. But we would have. I mean, just to be fair, if someone asked, we would have. I mean, that's a really good question, though.
As a result of that, every hit you gathered over the email
Correct.
from all your competitors.
Yeah.
So why did they agree? I mean,
In this day and age that we live in, why did our competitors agree to be part of our thing? Because we really tried to position it as a global event that was going to see a lot of eyeballs, and we kind of guesstimated how many people would participate. So for all these wineries and for a lot of your competition, they're probably just trying to figure out social media, and they're trying to grow their Twitter followers and Facebook fans. We're basically saying we're going to bring together this community, and we're going to serve it up on a silver platter. You all have access to this community. So there was a motivation.
but they didn't get an email list of it?
No, no one asked for it. I mean, but we would have given it to anybody who asked.
But they're still beneficiaries of everything you do.
Yeah.
Question?
What was the like lead time for your event? Like you created the event what, a month in advance, or like in order to meet all the cues that you wanted to have and like create the buzz going?
The lead time for the event, for this one was 4 weeks, but let me preface that by saying that was about the fifth one. We did a few leading up to it, and we actually, each one we got a little bit smarter and better at what we wanted to do.
Right.
So we did one last year called Sauvignon Blanc, we did that. We did another one for Chardonnay. And at the end or during each of those events, we'd actually say, here's the next one that's coming up, sign up now. And then we'd have the event ready to go.
Because you need some time to create like buzz about
Time to create buzz, and that's why I like Eventbrite, because it has built-in social viral tools to it. Anybody who RSVPs to the event, they can share it to LinkedIn or Facebook, and they kind of perpetuate it forward. But we really started about 4 weeks out, like really focusing on it. You're welcome. Question?
Have you seen a difference in sales for your brand?
Yeah, actually I'll get to that, but I left the winery in October and started my own company. Up until October, I know that for a winery, a wine club is their lifeblood. That's where they really make all their money, is a wine club. Distribution and sales, wholesale, is part of it. So we actually did see some sales before, during, and after that we were specifically trying to track. And I think we could get better at it if we do this sort of thing again. But let me just say, in social media, it's all trial and error. Don't be afraid to fail, and just learn from it each time, because you will get better at it, and you can do it faster, and it doesn't cost you anything other than, like I said, 20 to 30 hours. Question?
I mean, one thing I really learned from my social media marketing efforts is to really understand the value of testing, because I see a lot of business owners really not on social media not being positive. You have to test every single strategy, and testing, you know exactly what works and what doesn't work.
That's right. Trial and error. It's so much easier. I mean, we're used to the old world where you have to print brochures and things like that, and you have to get a graphic designer and this and that. When it's electronic, you can create and take something down easily. You can be much more agile. Now, everybody in this room has something they're passionate about, and your customers have something that they're passionate about. When you bring together that one idea, that's one thing. But how do you know they know how to participate? So if you say, okay, we're going to do this Cabernet Day, to me it makes sense, but to engage a bigger audience, we took away the barriers that would prevent someone from not participating. Two things. Now, if I was to ask you, what's your name? Jennifer. If I poured you a glass of Cabernet and I said, describe this wine, how would you describe it? Yeah. Yeah. She said notes. Jennifer said notes of blackberry, maybe oaky. Might say smooth. Now, if I said describe it in 140 characters or less, it's kind of, well, I don't know how to do that. So what we did is actually we educated the average person how to participate. We created a YouTube video that we embedded into Eventbrite, and we actually held up a camera to TweetDeck, and we showed someone typing out tweets that might represent how they would not only post content, but actually how they can go and track and see what other people were saying about Cabernet, so that they can send out conversation, but also receive back information. And we showed people how to check in on Foursquare and how to post a photo of what they're drinking on Facebook. And I did something with Master Sommelier, and we just kind of talked about it. But taking away those barriers, you give people a reason to participate, because you can't assume that everybody knows what to do for this to bring them together. Make sense? Was there a question?
Yeah, I had a quick question, just out of curiosity. Do you track how many people click on those instructional videos and actually utilize them?
Yeah, and the videos, if you're not using video, I'm incredibly bullish on video. If you don't know which tool to use in social media, I would go with like YouTube and email, and you can be successful. Because YouTube, you can track not only how many views, but where, like they'll show you a geographical map of which state, which country, who's watching your video. Eventbrite will also give you the same sort of thing. We can do that page was viewed almost 10,000 times, and we can see where by location, which is pretty useful.
How do you track who's using YouTube?
If you have a YouTube account, they can give it to you. So if you go into your account, you can actually go to one of the
Insights.
Yeah, it's called Insights, and they'll show you for each video all sorts of stuff that you can geek out on, and
And also your Google Analytics can give you that information too.
it's a lot. And not everybody, it's not useful, so you don't, if it's not useful to you, don't spend time with it. But over to Google, because I know that what I want to do after I get done with this is maybe if any of you have a business or an idea that you think could work for this and you want to try it, and we can just hack it out right now and see like how do we put this together. So the upside is that you can scale up a global community quickly because it exists online. But the downside is that once it's over, they all dissipate. So you have to be ready to capture as much of that as possible, because really there's this new idea called attention marketing. You're able to capture someone's attention, especially if it's 3,000 people. If you can capture their attention at one time, that's what it's all about. That's where you got to be ready and prepared to have content, to have conversations, to engage customers, and that's where you really start to build up and become a global brand like Rhonda was talking about this morning. So, if there's one slide or one thing you're going to take away from this other than the fact that I love bacon, it's this. Most of you live between the parentheses. You've got your brand, you've got your expertise on what it is you're doing. Online, one of your jobs is to build trust. Reach, I said I would come back to this, and this is why we democratize that tasting. Because if you have, say, 300 followers on Twitter, and say 300 Facebook fans, just a guess, your reach is probably about 600 or less. If you say, okay, we're going to do some sort of global or some sort of an event around an idea, and you put it out there, it's not going to reach past that 600 people, right? You might get 1 to 10% participation. Every winery and every competitor that they brought their people to the table, our reach went from this to this. So reach is a multiplier. All you have to worry about is your brand, your expertise, your trust. So if you're Eric Hansen, Eric, are you in here? He said he was coming. So his brand, if you got green propane, his expertise, and his personality and his trust, all you have to do is worry about that. But when you really democratize an event, give everybody ownership, you amplify your reach. And that's how you build online influence. So, recap. One passionate idea becomes a hashtag. That's the thread that ties it together. Online and offline. That's exactly why you're here, and this is exactly what British Airways is doing. Face-to-face business, online business. Have a balance of both.